So I know you mentioned you're an Alabama fan here a moment ago.
Yeah.
We got to talk about your boy then. Got to talk about Jalen Milroe. Let's talk about him here.
Let's
Here
do
we
it.
go. Now, again, this is your team. So I'm going to let you lead the way in a lot of this here because that means you're going to know more on him than I will, and I'll point blank say it just like that. Is it just me, or does he seem like the Lamar Jackson of this draft?
Yeah, you can say that, but he's if Lamar Jackson was 220 pounds, 230, he's not as elusive as Lamar, but at straight line speed, I can say he's almost as fast as Lamar. We never saw a 40-yard dash from Lamar. We're probably gonna not see a 40-yard dash from Milroe either. But to me, the highest ceiling, but the floor is not high. Floor's not high. There's a lot to work with, a lot of development that has to go with Jalen Milroe. I will say this though. If we do decide to keep Brian Daboll and we do fall out of the top 5, Jalen Milroe is to me the best quarterback to run a Brian Daboll type of offense, in my opinion, because he still does have a strong arm. He is a sponge when it comes to learning because he's already getting that offense down with DeBoer coming out of Washington. And you can actually see the progression, with Jalen Milroe from last year to this year. He's more of a passer, and it's hard to say that because we just saw a game where he ran for 4 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, and only threw for I think it was 115 in that game or something like that. But no, I like Milroe. I think he's a fringe first rounder, which again, perfect size, speed, has the arm talent. I know you compared Ward to Josh Allen earlier. I'm not going to say that he's Josh Allen, but he does have those physical traits where he can extend plays. I wish he would look to throw more, but he does throw it. And he has a cannon.
And that's why I use that Lamar Jackson comparison there, because I feel like if it wasn't for his running abilities, he wouldn't be as highly touted a prospect there by far. And that's not necessarily knocking him. It's a skill. You got a skill, use it. I don't ever want to knock any player for using whatever they got they're good at. If you're good at something, use it. That's what makes you special there. So real quick, the history on him here. So Jalen was born December 13th, 2002, went to high school at Hopkins High School in Katy, Texas. Another Texas. You notice the Texas theme here with these quarterbacks.
Something in the water, man.
It's something in the water. It's funny. Every single NFL draft, it's like you swear like high school football's only played basically in Texas and Florida.
Yeah.
It just seems that way, guys. Every single time.
Like 70% of the NFL is Texas or Florida.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm root for some of these players sometimes just because they're from my neck of the woods at that point where I'm living now. It too. So there's something in the water in Florida too. I'll tell you what, whatever it is doesn't taste good because the water's not very good down here. But what's the kid we got from Jeff Smith from the Jets there last year? I think he didn't even make it out of camp necessarily, but he was a Jet for a few years. Yeah, he went to high school literally right down the road from me.
Okay.
I was like, it's funny because when I moved into this house, there we go. Yeah, Jeff Smith, I was right. So when I moved in this house, I had no clue there was a high school near me. It wasn't a thing I looked at. I looked at the map of it. I just kind of drove around the neighborhood and didn't see anything like that whatsoever. All of a sudden, we move in October, the first Friday night. I'm like, why do I hear a marching band? What the hell's going on here? Sure enough, there's a high school within I wouldn't say walking, but bike riding distance. I say.
We'll say. Yeah, so you
hear it. At least somebody who is healthy and physically fit bike riding. Not me. I'll pass out halfway there, but other people at that point could do it. And yeah, so that's like I said, there's so many players that come out of my backyard. It's not even funny. It's crazy. Anyway, though, so over his high school career, 3,825 passing yards, 559 rushing yards, and 53 touchdowns, total touchdowns in his 3-year career, over 30 wins as well. Originally committed to Texas before switching and changing his mind and going to Alabama there. As Rob chimes in from home there, saying Jersey water is the best. And I got to tell you guys, it really is. One of those things, you don't realize how good the water is until you move out of here. And you also don't realize that we all say water, not water.
Yeah, water.
Water. Water.
My kids still make fun of me. My wife makes fun of me. Yeah.
Do you also do the R in wash in Washington? That's like a Jersey
Warsh.
thing I realized too. Like
You know,
Warsh.
I don't notice that it is a R, but it is a R sounding. It is.
Yeah. Like
I
you
don't.
went to go wash something.
Yeah,
That's a
wash.
Jersey thing. I
Yeah,
swear. Like nobody else does that.
water
And
wash.
I never did it. It's like only like certain Jersey people do that.
Yeah, but the water. I remember. I'm old. I'm older guy too. I remember water straight from the hose on a summer day. Don't even go back in the house.
I heard that's poisonous to children. So anyway, 21 in Alabama, 4 games, 3 of 7 passing, 41 yards, 15 rushes, 57 yards, which is just crazy. Like, I grant it's a very small sample size. When do you ever see a quarterback with more rushing yards than passing yards on a season?
Yeah.
8 games in 22, 31 of 53 passing, 297 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 31 rushes for 263 yards and a touchdown. Last year in 23, his first year as the starter, 13 games, 65.8 completion percentage, 2,834 yards, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 161 rushes, 531 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Very much, dare I say it, as a Giants podcast, but almost like Jalen Hurts kind of numbers. Where you go, okay,
To me, yeah, and that's
like,
a good comparison.
yeah, like not a ton of it's not the 30, 35 touchdowns you see passing that a lot of these guys get that are top prospects. But, like I said, Jalen Hurts is that kind of guy. He doesn't do 40, 50 passing touchdowns, but he gets all those push touchdowns and everything at that point that he's got those rushing touchdowns. Same kind of thing. Second team all SEC last year as well, which is funny because apparently the team had 2 quarterbacks on it. We talked about that one earlier and had the same thing. 24 at Alabama, 9 games so far, 67.4 completion percentage. You notice that uptick on that completion percentage, guys. Like I said, I want to see improvement over time. That's improvement. 2,046 yards. That's also an improvement there. 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 114 rushes for 565 yards, 16 touchdowns. You notice a lot of things going up. I love seeing that on a quarterback, especially one that I know is still developing.
Yeah.
And that's what this is, guys. This is a developmental quarterback. We mentioned Anthony Richardson in passing there before. This guy is like Anthony Richardson, and if you do to him what the Colts did to Anthony Richardson, you are doomed. You have to let him sit for a little while if he comes out this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're an Alabama guy. He's got 1 more year of eligibility, I believe.
He does, but he's not staying.
You don't think he's staying?
They got some guys behind him.
Yep, that's what I'm about to ask you.
That have to play.
Okay, that's what about to ask that part there exactly.
But also, he's ready. He doesn't get anything going back again. I mean, again, this is the first time we're going to have the 12-team playoff. We'll see what happens. We'll see a lot of good competition. And I think he's done enough to solidify himself as at the tier below the top 2 guys. And he might be actually in that tier by himself because I think that he's a better prospect than Beck and yours. Just because of the physical traits, just because he can attack you with his legs as well. And to your point, you said I would love for him to sit behind somebody and develop. He does need some developing. But you already know this is the NFL. They only sit for a little bit. Unless you're Atlanta with Kirk Cousins and he's balling out of control, and Michael Penix can't even see the field right now. Unless that happens, that's one thing, and that would be a perfect situation for Milroe if he does that. But to me, I think wherever he goes, I think he will ultimately end up on the field in 2025, and hopefully it's not at the beginning.
I'd say hopefully the end of the season.
End of the season.
Let it be towards the end of the season. Let him get in some
that way he can get acclimated because that's one thing. Like you said, he's a guy with a lot more room to improve. You can see it. He's already improved from last year to this year, and if he gets the right coaching, he his ceiling is very, very high. And to me, it's like, do you want to take that chance? That's my biggest question.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think he is potentially number 3 for me, like you said. I think
he's still on my list. Yeah, for sure.
I think the big question for me is he's 3 for me, depending on where he goes.
What do you mean? I mean, I know what you mean, but I just want to.
He's got to be the right scenario. If you put him in that wrong scenario and someone just throws him out there, that's why I said I use the Anthony Richardson comparison because it's a classic example. Like leading up to that draft, everybody said you got to sit Richardson, you got to sit him, you can't let him throw him out there. Yeah, and they threw him right out there to the wolves. Yeah, and now you see that some guys have already given up on this kid, which is crazy. I think it's way too early to give up on him, but this is same kind of scenario. If you let Jalen just go throw him right into the game right off the bat, he's not going to do well.
Unfortunately, the team that picks him up, like I can see him possibly getting picked up by like a Cleveland or somebody, and that would be awful for him to end up somewhere like that. Even though I like that coach at Cleveland, but
unless they decide to keep Watson one more year. I mean, I've heard the rumor
he popped his Achilles.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll see what happens. The rumor is they're going to trade him this offseason, actually.
To who?
Just they think so. Okay,
who's thinking Watson?
We're gonna get a little off topic here, but there's a rumor going around that they think that they can convince somebody to take their first round pick and Watson and give them just like a take a 7th round pick basically back in return, just so to complete a trade. Wait a minute.
Repeat that.
Cap relief.
So they would give up their first and Watson.
Yes.
For the cap relief. I got you. Okay.
Yes.
I'm following now. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Almost like an NBA kind of trade, basically.
Who's desperate enough to do that? That's a lot of money.
So the suggestion they were giving actually was the Panthers in this scenario, because they have all the cap space in the world to do it. And you would get them another top flight pick, along with having, obviously, they're going to have a top flight pick as it is because of how they're playing when they don't play the Giants, of course.
Oh, boy.
That'd be pretty tough to turn down potentially if you can get rid of him after a year or so of paying him.
Is that what's left? Just the 1 year? It has to be a little bit more money in it. Well, they did adjust it. They ended up giving him a lot of bonus money at the beginning of the year.
I said they changed some of it at that point to make it more friendly. That's what the rumors that they made that specifically for that reason. So, like I said, it might not be the bad scenario though if he's still there, because if you let him just throw Watson out to the wolves one more year, let him develop. My question is, do you really want Jalen Milroe to learn from Watson at this point in his career?
Yeah, that's bad.
It's like, you see what that guy's doing? That's what you don't do. We're going to show you what not to do.
And then I'm thinking also, you figure like Oakland's another team that could go after Milroe, and that's not a good team situation.
That I would take it. I think a Harpy would take him, because they get excited by certain players that they think are like just athletic. It's like, this was a big thing that they've always had. They love the overly athletic players sometimes.
Since the dad was there.
Oh,
he was always a height, weight, speed guy.
I say he was a 40-time guy all day long. Yeah. And the apple doesn't fall from the tree. Unfortunately, the barber did fall far from the tree in that scenario. But it's a whole other story with the Chucky doll looking guy there.
Well, what barber? What barber?
Yeah. I think it's his personal chef. He just puts the bowl on his head and shaves around it.
That screams, my mother cut my hair. That's what that screams.
Oh, 100%. Remember the movie Problem Child back in the day?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what it reminds me of. But yeah, like I said, I think the right scenario, he can succeed. I really do. I think it's good. And I think like I said, he's got that potential to be, like you said, number 3. And I would call him the number 3 depending on where he goes. He has to go to that right organization, because I think if somebody throws him out there, he's going to fall flat in his face. But he's got that potential. It's all sometimes where you go. As far as the pros and cons on him there, dual threat that can make plays with his legs, throws a nice deep ball, good size, and still seems to be improving, like we said. Cons, quick to run out of the pocket, does not throw with the anticipation, does not seem to sense pressure well.
That's spot on.
Bleacher Reports, that's what their write-up on him was: Milroe's outstanding blend of athletic skill, outstanding blend of elite speed, athleticism, physically dense build, and live arm fits the trend of today's quarterback archetypes. As he has shown this season, there are encouraging flashes of development as a pocket passer. If this continues, NFL decision makers will be more intrigued about placing him in their offense and building around his skill set. Milroe projects as a quarterback prospect that should sit instead of being a day one starter in the NFL, which is exactly what we said.
Yeah.
They're pretty much spot on. Like I said, this is a guy that's really exciting if you can be patient. If you cannot be patient, do not take him. Do not do this to that kid. I hate when I see that kind of stuff. That drives me nuts.
I'm trying to think of a good situation for him.
Can we go with the Rams for basically every player? And really, honestly, if you're one of these mid-tier quarterbacks that needs a little bit of seasoning time, that really is the best possible scenario. I just don't think he's Sean McVay's cup of tea.
You know what I was thinking, because of the uncertainty with the quarterback that's there right now? Miami.
Yeah.
Because Tua, we don't know how long Tua's going to play. But
No.
Tua's definitely going to be there for a while, and that's somewhere I think that they can't take him in the first. They can't justify taking a first round quarterback though. So yeah,
And the other issue is Tua just signed that extension.
yeah.
But obviously, depending on what happens with his health, that's another scenario. Now I'm looking it up here. Here's the weird thing. This is actually a very team-friendly extension he signed. Obviously, again, being a Giants podcast, I don't look too much at contracts with other players that aren't on our team. He had already actually guaranteed money through 25, basically.
Who, Tua?
In 26, in 26 they can cut him. They take
out in 26.
So it's a dead cap hit of $25 million they take, but it's only $31 million in saving the cap. So yeah, actually that would be a very good scenario for him.
And then nobody would actually. So if the cap is that friendly, and like I said, if they do have that built-in 2-year out, because it's a 2-year out because he just signed it. Yeah, nobody would blink an eye or bat an eye, I should say.
Here's the crazy thing: it's actually not even a 2-way out because it was an extension. He's only getting paid $9 million this year, still the last year of that rookie contract. Looks like
somebody's smart down there. Somebody's smart down there in Miami.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They did it. I think they did it right on both sides, honestly.
Yeah,
both sides. As Rob agrees with you, by the way. He says 100% dash. He also says the hose water is delicious.
I'm telling you. Well, I don't know what it is now in New Jersey, but when I was a kid, you talking about mid 90s, late 90s.
Yeah.
We were scared to go in the house because our parents would make us stay.
Oh yeah.
I would go straight to the hose. I wasn't trying to go inside. I'd go to the hose, get a quick drink, and get right back on the bike.
Give you some chores to do real quick. I knew better. Stay outside until the street lights come on. That's when you go back home.
We'll be out all day. All day.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm